About 7 years ago, as I started to really launch my explainer video business, even though I was a business coach, I realized I needed a business coach because I was my own worst client. I asked a good friend of mine, Dr. Jason Elkins, who's not actually a doctor, but I keep saying doctor in hopes one day that it will manifest, who he uses. Jason said, Charles, you got to meet John Michael Morgan. He's my business coach. He's a good guy. He knows everything there is about marketing, mindset, and best of all, he's one of us. Now, when someone says one of us, that's a key phrase to let you know that that person is in your world. They're kind of like you. And as I started to go out and research business coaches, I got really overwhelmed. So many business coaches looked, walked, and talked and sound the same. Had the generic leadership begins with you quotes where they're in black and white and staring up into the distance with the blue steel look from Zoolander. But sure enough, I took Jason's recommendation, met John, and he is one of us. I hired him, still work with him today. That was from a know, like, and trust factor. So many of us, you specifically, are not using a feature in LinkedIn that helps you build a know, like, and trust factor, and that's with the recommendations. Let me show you very quickly how to get a recommendation from somebody else on LinkedIn. I pulled up my good friend here, Richard Cawthorn, and by a good friend, I just completed a video for the guy. He liked it, he's happy, so when I get done, I will go and ask him for a recommendation. It's really smart for you to ask for a recommendation when the customer is the happiest with you, not necessarily at the end of completion or months after so they can give you a proof of concept, because in many cases, especially with explainer videos, sometimes people are off to the next shiny object, and even though they're very happy, they've already forgotten about me. So I ask immediately upon delivery of the video file. And if I'm smart enough to remember, I'm not always smart enough, but when I am, people give me a recommendation. So you'll see here, and yes, I've got a bunch of cute little add-ons. We can do a video on that later, but if you click more and just go to request a recommendation, it's really simple. Well, how do I know Richard? Well, he was a client of mine. Where? At yourcharlesalexander.com, and it defaults to a message. I always say, in addition to that, hey, can you write a brief recommendation, just 1 to 2 sentences? And I think that's key because people don't want to read a paragraph. And then when I get done, hit send, and I'll also send him a follow-up email asking him to check his LinkedIn inbox because, as you know, LinkedIn inboxes can be full. I'm part of the problem. I apologize for that. But as I get done, I have built, at this point, 68 recommendations over, 7-year period, apparently. And it should be 168, but a lot of you do good to have 6 or 8. Start building them, and when you get the built on your website or on your LinkedIn page, you can also add them to your web page, just like I've done right here. And that builds a know, like, and trust factor. I've had many financial advisors and insurance people tell me, hey, Charles, I started looking at your website and I noticed there's a ton of other people that are just like me that use you, and you must be an expert in that area. Use LinkedIn recommendations to build the know, like, trust factor. And if you happen to need a business coach not named Charles Alexander, I may have a recommendation for you. He's one of us.